Hello, I'm Rosie Vision, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different from what I normally do. I made a transformation ranking video for Winx Club years ago, but the video definitely wasn't the highest quality, especially compared to what I can do now, so might as well redo it. Also, there's new transformations now, so why not? In this video, I'll be going through each transformation in chronological order, talking about what I like, don't like, and then, of course, ranking them against each other. I counted seasons 1 through 8, and also World of Winx. And I excluded Butterflix from season 8 because it essentially looks identical to the original, it's just a different art style. To preface, this is purely for fun. My opinions on transformations have changed before, and I'm sure they're gonna change again. And obviously, it's okay to like transformations that other people don't like, and vice versa. It's up to you how you feel. This is just my opinion, and my opinions fluctuate a lot. But with that said, let's just get a move on. I'll be using Tier Maker today, which I haven't used before, but I thought it'd be fun. I tried seeing if there were any Winx transformation lists already on the site, but none of them quite had what I was looking for, so I just made one on my own. I'll link it in the description in case you want to give it a go as well. Well, enough rambling. Let's get started, shall we? First off with Magic Winx, the original from season 1. I am definitely biased here. I will admit this is the very first transformation. It's the one that I think of immediately when I think of Winx Club. But despite that, I still think it aged pretty darn well. Rainbow was just starting out Winx Club, so obviously they didn't have the budget to make it look super duper fancy. But the song itself is still a banger to this day. And the look itself is very iconic. As I said, it's what I think of when I think of Winx Club. And I especially like how the transformation outfits are based off of their casual wear in season 1. And the sequence itself is a little bit boring in comparison to the rest, but Musa and Tecna had some interesting parts to them, so that was fun. The only real nitpick I have is that I wish Aisha's transformation was longer. I'm not sure why it was short in the first place, but yeah, it'd be nice to see that longer. So, without much of any surprise, I'm gonna have to put this in the highest rank S, just because it's the very first one. It still holds up pretty decently, and it just screams Winx, honestly. And now for a Charmix. Not the neck version, by the way, we'll get to that. I remember Charmix. I really like the concept for it. Like, the way that they earned Charmix was really good, and some of Winx Club's best writing, in my opinion. The one that comes to my mind instantly is Aisha. She had to face her fear of the dark and being alone in order to save her friends, and I thought that was nice and good character development. That said, I definitely don't like Charmix as a whole. It took way too long for them to transform just for a bag and pin, and the song itself sounds like something that they'd use for the specialists. I like how it sounds, but it doesn't feel like a transformation song, and it gets really repetitive. Also, the accessories themselves don't look good on the Winx at all, with some exceptions. Stella, Tecna, and Flora look okay, but the rest, not so much. And this is like one of the only transformations where they have the same background for each character, so kind of simple and a bit boring. So in my book, probably an F. I like how they earned it, but that's about it. And Enchantix. I'm sure a lot of you already know where I'm going to put this, but let me explain why. I obviously absolutely adore Enchantix and think it's still their number 1 transformation, unless you count the original. I guess it depends on what you're looking for, but Enchantix has a really nice look to it. It's the only time where they actually look like fairies, and the gloves I think were a nice touch as well. Makes them look kind of elegant, and it's not something you typically think of when you think of fairies, but it works super well. The wings are super pretty and personalized. I have notes here I'm looking through. Oh yes, I also like how this was the first time that their hair gets colored. So like the outlines that are done for the hair streaks, instead of using black, it's different colors depending on the fairy. Like for Bloom, it's orange. And I think it's something that's used throughout the series, season 3 onwards, but for Enchantix, it works really well. Also, the way that they transform is super unique and personalized, probably the most out of all of them. And it's just a blast to go through. And then obviously how they got their transformation was really well done. The best writing of Winx Club, hands down. You also get fairy dust, which while rewatching, I will admit, it's overused, but it's still fun to sit through. And then, of course, there's the song. I absolutely love the original Enchantix song. It's one of my favorite Winx Club songs, and I actually recently rewatched season 3 with some of my younger sisters who hadn't seen it before. And to this day, it's been months now, I still hear them burst into Enchantix every once in a while. So that's proof. They didn't grow up on the show, so they don't have any nostalgia attached to it, but they still think the song is great too. So obviously, with all that said, there's nowhere else I could put this but S. And now for the 3D version. Like a lot of people, I do think the CG just brings down Winx Club in general. However, I think this is one of the better looking 3D transformations, at least compared to the worst ones. And honestly, I think Bloom and Flora look pretty decent in this movie. I don't know why, but that's just how I feel. The song that they use for Enchantix is okay. I like it enough by itself, but I am a firm fan of the original, and I honestly get bummed out when I hear the new one because why not just the original? But it's not bad. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh yes, the way that they transform the sequence, I'm just gonna call it from here on out, is definitely rather boring and lackluster. I know it's because it's a movie and they wanted to fill out the time with like actual writing instead of transformations, and they knew that the fans already knew what Enchantix looked like. But I don't know, Enchantix just feels rather boring in this movie. It doesn't feel as powerful or as fun. So even though it's Enchantix, for the 3D version, I'm gonna have to say C. Okay, now for Believix. Another one of my favorites. We'll get to some I don't like soon, I'm sure. Believix, I really like the song. It's super cheerful and upbeat, and it's something I still know to this day, even though I don't listen to Winx Club music that often anymore, at least. I also love how colorful Believix is in general, like the transformation itself and also their outfits. It also has really big wings, which I think looks great. And they almost have, I don't know, like this paper doll effect to them, which I don't know what it adds, but I just really like it. Ah yes, the style. I'm pretty sure some fans aren't really too keen on this transformation just because it's really modern and simple in comparison to the rest, and I understand that. I agree with that, but I do think that it fits considering that Believix is for Earth and it makes them blend in more. So I actually don't mind that. Let's see. It does look kind of plain in comparison to the rest though. And I guess for one more quick bonus, I really like Bloom's hair in this. I think it's with the colored lines thing again. The orange and red just looks really nice. So, I don't know, I had this ranked higher in my notes. I wrote down like a general idea of where I wanted to put things, but I don't think Believix is quite on the same level as Enchantix, so I'm gonna put it in A for now. Now for the Believix wings, Speedix, Zoomix, and Tracix. I decided to put these all into one. I do think that this is the most useful in terms of add-on transformations, I'm just gonna call them, so transformations on top of another. It's been a while, but Speedix, I believe, it makes the wings fly super duper fast. Zoomix, teleports. And then Tracix, honestly, I was always kind of confused on that. I think it helps them like understand like clues within a certain area, something like that. I really liked the idea when I was younger, and I still do, but that said, the transformation sequence drags on forever. I remember getting so annoyed whenever they'd get another set of Believix wings going, and they transform like multiple times into different sets of wings in one episode, plus the Believix transformation. It was just way too much. And in terms of looks, really, the only ones that I like Tracix, but the others I do not like. The music for it, I like, but it's super repetitive. So even though I think it's really useful, probably in the same realm as Charmix for me. Sophix. I remember really loving this one as a kid, and going back and looking at it now, I think I did over-romanticize it. For example, I really remember liking the song a lot, and I don't think it's bad, but I definitely didn't remember it at all. And I remember a lot of the transformation songs, but this definitely wasn't one of them. And oh yes, the biggest con with this is definitely the color coordination. I understand why they used green. This is a transformation for nature. But they used way too much green, and with colors that do not contrast well with it at all. It's honestly probably one of the worst color coordinated outfits in Winx Club history, at least transformation wise, and that's saying a lot. And when I was thinking about it, honestly, Sophix is kind of a wasted opportunity. Since the transformation itself is based off of flowers, they could have gotten way more creative with it. What I was thinking would probably be a better alternative is if each fairy was based off of a certain type of flower. There's like a million flowers out there, and I'm sure they'd have no trouble finding flowers that correspond to each fairy's powers. So, like for example, Stella could probably be based off of Marigold, which look like suns. But you get the gist. There are tons of really creative ways that they could have gone about this, but they didn't. Sorry, got distracted by one of the cats in the background. I do really like the message and idea of Sophix. It's a transformation that's based off of nature and is trying to like build appreciation for it and help kids understand that nature is something we need to protect. That's nice. And also, it essentially is sort of like a Flora transformation, which is really cool. I love Flora. But it definitely does not look the greatest and is kind of forgettable. So I think I'm gonna put it D for now. And now for Lovix. I'm gonna say it right off the bat. This is one of my favorite transformations. I'm not sure why, it just is. Looking at it now, honestly, it didn't age as well as I thought it did, but I still have a really big soft spot for it. Basically, it's just a cold-based transformation, and I just love the overall theming of it. The fur is something I love, and also when they're transforming, there's this like glass blur effect that fits with the crystal theme, crystal like ice theme really well. And there's also like this crystal effect in the transformation song as well, which is nice. They also shout out names. I think this is the first time this happened canonically in Winx Club transformations. They shout out names that are like their power plus ice, which I thought was pretty cool. They got creative with that. And I just have a really big soft spot for Lovix. I think it's my favorite add-on transformation personally. But it is still an add-on, and I can see some flaws with it now. It's definitely impractical, that's for sure. So I think I'll put it in B. Definitely one of my favorites, though. Now for the 3D version of Believix. A transformation scene for this was, it It was something. I was not the biggest fan of it personally. It wasn't as interesting as the original. I think each fairy only got like 5-10 seconds each to transform to, if that. It was even shorter than the 3D Enchantix version, which is saying something. I do think in general each fairy looks better than the 3D version of Enchantix, so there is that. But honestly, 3D Believix just isn't memorable at all, at least to me. So because of that, we're gonna put it in C for now. Now for Charmix, the Nick version. This is essentially Magic Winx, but it got changed to Charmix in the Nickelodeon specials. Honestly, I think it could have been a lot worse. I think there's a lot of people that absolutely hate this because of how much they like the original. I obviously prefer the original as a longtime fan, but I don't think this is the worst transformation by far. I like the song. Power of Charmix is a banger. I love how colorful it looks, although I do think they went kind of overkill with all the effects and everything. But it's cool that they were able to get to that point. And I feel like for the transformation sequence itself, they did try to add more movement in it, which was nice. But like I said, for the original, Techna and Musa had really cool sequences in the original. For example, Musa was walking across a CD, like scratching it, and it just looks really nice and cool, but Musa's wasn't as memorable in this version, and same for Techna. So I do not think it's as bad as Sophix or the original Charmix or anything, so because of that, I think I'm going to put this in C too. Not as good as the original, but it's cool to see how far Rainbow was able to go in terms of effects and stuff like that. Harmonix! This is one that I changed my mind on. I think I didn't really like this one that much originally, probably because I wasn't really having fun watching Season 5 for the first time. But over time, I've definitely really come to appreciate it. Harmonix has a really nice song. I love it so much. The harmonies are so pleasing to the ears. It's just good. And then also, Harmonix has this sort of like goddess theme going to it. Greek goddess, I guess. And it's just really unique in comparison to the rest of the transformations. I love how they incorporated the ribbon and fabric within the transformation sequence itself as well. It's super flowy and aesthetic. The way they transformed is a bit boring in comparison, but it does definitely look good. And in terms of nitpicks, it definitely is kind of samey. There isn't too much personality, but I think the overall theme is really nice. So, I don't know. I was thinking A, but honestly, it is not that individualized, so maybe B. Now for the 3D version of Sirenix. I'm gonna say off the bat, I do really, really love Sirenix, but I think that the 2D version is better. Sirenix has a super great song. I absolutely love it. When I watched Season 8 for my review of it, I was not having that much fun a lot of the time, but the second I heard Sirenix, I had instant good vibes. It brought back so many memories, and I didn't think that was possible for the Nickelodeon version of Winx, but I guess anything is. For the transformation sequence itself, I think, once again, I think the 2D version is better. Some parts of it in the 3D version look okay, and then others is kind of nightmare fuel. In terms of theming though, I really like it. The water wings are super nice, and I feel this transformation is unique in that all the outfits look pretty similar to each other, yet it still feels individualized somehow, and I think it's a good balance. I also like the fact that they color streaked their hair, especially since they're underwater. It reminds me of those dolls where their hair would change color. So I really like the concept of Sirenix in practice, but I'm definitely a fan of the 2D version. just because of all the memories of watching the Winx in 3D just go about their day and try to defeat Tritanus. I remember it was really painful to watch, so because of that, I'm gonna have to put this version in D, but I do not hate Sirenix. I just wish that they kept it 2D instead of 3D. And speak of the devil, here's the one that I prefer. I looked through the transformation, and at first I thought they were the same, but it's actually way different. There's a lot more movement in the sequence for the 2D version, and it reminds me of underwater gymnastics. It's really cool, actually. There's also this like fisheye effect, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it does fit. In general, I think it just looks a lot better. The only real issue I have with this version of Sirenix is I don't know if the animators were rushed or something, but there's a lot of proportion mistakes that just don't look good. Like where a forehead will be too big or something like that. But really, that's the only gripe I have with this, so I'm gonna have to go A. And now for Bloomix. I know that this is a bit of a controversial one, because Bloom often gets the spotlight more so than the other characters, and it feels weird that she has her own transformation. I agree with that, although the Dragon Flame is pretty powerful, so it's technically not her, but they decided to name it Bloomix. That said, I actually really love this transformation. This is probably one of my favorites of the newer ones. The hair itself is so good. I like it a lot. And also, Bloomix has this, I don't know how to describe it. The only way I can think of is like dragon warrior princess vibes. And it's pulled off super well. It's way different from any of the other transformations, and it actually makes them look like battle fairies, but super elegant and beautiful at the same time. I didn't really like the season that this came from, but this was the highlight for me, for sure. And each outfit is also super personalized. That's something that we don't see too much of these days in Winx Club, so I appreciated that. In terms of the song, I like it, but it's definitely not super memorable for me. So I'm gonna say I'd have to put this A, I think. And now for Mythix. Yikes. This is probably my least favorite, like, actual transformation, honestly. I really love the concept that they had for this season. I absolutely love fairy tales, and I think that the idea of bringing characters to life and like going into stories and stuff like that is super duper cool and interesting. That said, it was not handled well in Winx Club at all. And for this transformation, I have no idea what direction they were trying to take. The only thing I can sort of tell is that Musa, I don't know, she reminds me of like a fairy godmother or something. Other than that, this doesn't really scream myth or storybook character to me at all. It's such wasted potential. It could have been based off of actual fairy tale creatures. Like, I think Stella would probably make a nice Rapunzel or something like that. They could have gotten way more creative than they did, and for that, I'm pretty upset. Also, the wands. I think the wand thing was actually a good idea, but I don't even remember what the point of them was. Is it to go into the Legendarium world? I'm not sure. I feel like the wand should have been more important, and also I feel like they could have had better designs. In terms of looks, honestly, I think this is the worst one out of all the 3D transformations. It just does not please the eyes at all. And the song itself, like most Winx songs, I wouldn't call it bad per se, but it's the least memorable one for me for sure. Definitely forgettable. So for Mythix, I love the concept, but for me the execution just absolutely failed. So I think this is one of the transformations that's gonna have to go an F for me, personally. It's okay if you like it, but I'm definitely not a fan. Okay, Butterflix. I definitely have mixed feelings on this one, and it's probably the most controversial transformation ever. Let's see here. For the concept, much like Sophix, I absolutely love the concept. This is another nature-based transformation, but it's based off of butterflies and caterpillars. And honestly, I think they did a really good job with the theming. I love the wings, the dresses, and the shoes and the arm braces. It fits the theme super well, especially how like the hair is bundled up. It reminds me of a caterpillar. So I think on that front, it's actually pretty solid, and I do like the hair overall. That said, let's get into the negatives now. The song itself is super repetitive. The transformation is really boring, so boring that they added in a dance sequence, which I'm sure is why most people hate it. And apparently the dance sequence was pulled from a K-pop music video, and I looked at the music video and it works a lot better there, but I don't know. Something about the characters that I've grown up for so long just suddenly dance breaking mid-transformation with choreography that obviously wasn't made for them just feels super duper awkward. I really do not like it at all. I feel like it would have been less weird if they did it after they were done transforming, like in the middle of a party or a performance or something, because honestly the dance in Winx Club isn't good at all. Someone has to say it. But yeah, that's definitely the most memorable, not good dance sequence in Winx Club for me, even though I don't mind the choreography itself, just not for the Winx Club members and not mid-transformation. I guess the last nitpick I have is that this is definitely one of the most color-coded transformations. It's not really personalized at all. And once again, this could have had so much potential. There are so many different butterflies out there. So they could have made each fairy have a different look based on a different butterfly, and that would have been really cool. So I do think there are some redeeming points to this transformation. Like I said, I think the theming was done really well. I like the hair, but that's about it. So for me personally, it's not going to go F tier, but no higher than D tier for me, I'm afraid. Now on to Tynix. This one was honestly a really big surprise for me. I actually really like it, and it was the only thing that I enjoyed about Season 7 personally. I really like the song, and I like how it's the start of a mature look for the Winx fairies, which honestly is kind of ironic considering this is the most childlike season, but it spawned World of Winx looks, which I liked, so that's nice. I love how the crystals are embedded into the dresses, and the crystal wings look super cool and just pretty, and they're even really individualized as well, which is something I really appreciate. I like the colored streaks of hair, much like Sirenix. However, I don't know why they decided to bleach Flora's hair for this. I don't know if it's just me, but I personally don't like how it looks, and it's the only time that their entire hair color changes, and it's just for Flora, so it feels really out of place. I think the only really big nitpick I have for this is that the sequence is really short. I think it's only like 20-30 seconds, and I think we deserved more. I really like that it's based off of a fashion show. I know that it's not what you think of when you think of fairies or Winx Club, but I at least appreciate that it was something different. So for that, honestly, I have a soft spot for Tynix. I think a lot of people don't like the new transformations, and for me personally, after going through them all, I'm not really partial whether it's new or old, minus maybe like Magic Winx. When I did a practice run of this, I think I had half and half between stuff that was from the original seasons in the like S, A, and B tier, and then I had the same amount of new transformations in the S, D, and F tier. So honestly, it's just a mixed bag for me personally for transformations. And even though I hate the season that this comes from, I like Tynix. So I'm gonna put this in A tier. Now for the World of Winx transformations. Starting off with Dreamix. I have a video on this, I'll put in like a card or something in the top right corner if you haven't seen it, but the first half of this is essentially just ripped off of a perfume commercial. That said, I actually do still really like Dreamix, especially the second half, which is all original. Like Tynix, it's based off of fashion shows, and I think it was nice to see something different. I was definitely caught off guard the first time that I saw it, but after having some years to think it over, I think it was cool that they switched things up, especially since World of Winx is for a different audience from the main show nowadays, at least. I like how the Winx dress more maturely. Once again, this has crystal wings and they look great. The song is one of my favorites. Really, the only nitpick I have is that there isn't that much variety within their looks, but I think what the character designers were going for is to have this look like a fashion collection. And to my knowledge, fashion collections are supposed to look somewhat similar, but have their own take on it individually. So I think it fits well for the theming, even though I wish they had gotten a little more crazy with it. I think that Dreamix is a pretty solid transformation, so for me, I'm gonna put it in B. Now for Onyrix. Honestly, I'm not sure whether I prefer Onyrix or Dreamix. They're about the same for me. The Onyrix song, I couldn't really remember at all, whereas I did Dreamix. However, I think this has my favorite transformation sequence outside of, I guess, Believix and Enchantix. There's this kaleidoscopic effect that's super trippy and really dreamlike, and I absolutely love how it looks. It's super fun, and I think is one of the more creative transformation sequences to come out of recent years, if not the most, honestly. I think Flora looks absolutely great in this look, and I like how they experimented with colors. I don't think Bloom looks that great in pink. However, I like that they put Stella in silver and Flora in green. Stella is the fairy of the sun and moon originally, so it was nice to see a callback to that with the silver. And Flora is a nature fairy, so it makes sense for her to wear green. And I think she pulls it off. And Aisha looks pretty darn good in purple as well, so honestly, I don't know. I feel like Onyrix is just missing something look-wise. I feel like the bottom half of the outfits just look too similar across the board. But in terms of transformation sequence, I really like it. And I also like how they experimented with colors. So, I think I'm gonna have to put this just behind Dreamix. We're getting close to the end, folks. Now all that's left is Season 8. For Cosmix, if you saw my Season 8 rundown, you would know that I was pleasantly surprised. It's obviously galaxy themed, and I think they did really well. The glitter in the hair looks great, and there's this like galaxy background in the beginning that feels kind of similar to how Stella transforms in Believix, which I really like. The sequence itself is kind of simple and feels a bit rushed, but I still think it's a pretty solid look in general. Obviously, I would have preferred it in the original style, but that's not the direction they went with for this season. So, let's see. I was thinking B, but should this go C? Oh, goodness. Let's see. I don't know if I'd put it the same as Onyrix. Well, actually, I might do some rearranging here. Okay, let's see how it looks here. Let's keep it B for now. And then, I might change it later. Okay, moving on. Okay, now for something that's probably upsetting for a lot of Winx fans. The Season 8 version of Enchantix. Once again referencing my Season 8 review, if you saw it, I said in the video that I didn't notice a difference between the two at first, but hear me out. The reason why this was the case is because I was watching this part of the series on Daily Motion and the quality was, I don't know, like 240p or something. I could barely see at all. And I also had the screen super small as well. So I honestly did not notice that they changed it at first, since I was just kind of zoned out of it anyways, since I wasn't that invested at this point in time, and the quality was so low. But after like doing this and looking side by side, there are major differences between the two, and I can see why people were upset. That said, I'm super glad that they brought it back. One more positive, I guess, is I actually like how the sparkles look on the wings. You can't see in the icon, but I should have a picture edited in where you can see better. There's a lot of detail. I'm not sure what the technical term is for how they put it in, but the way that they animated the series, textures look really good in Season 8, and that's really apparent with the sparkles in the wings for Season 8. And also, I do understand why they made it less revealing, because this is like a more childlike version of Winx Club. It'd be kind of weird if it was as revealing as original when they look like 12. That said, I wasn't happy about them changing the art style, but for the art style, it makes sense. And the colors that they added in don't match well, and I don't know, things just feel really off. And once again, like the 3D version of Enchantix, it just wasn't interesting at all compared to the original. So I don't think it's the bane of the Earth's existence or anything like some fans do, but it is definitely a disappointment compared to the original. But I am, once again, happy that they brought it back, and I think this look fits with this younger version of Winx, but it is definitely a far cry from the original. So I think I'm gonna have to put it in C, well, maybe D. Yeah, okay, D it is. I think it's about on par with Butterflix for me. Okay, now for the Season 8 version of Sirenix. Once again, I was glad that they brought back another transformation, and I actually really liked the idea of incorporating scales into the outfits. However, they did not pull it off at all. I think this is probably the worst case of color matching out of the entire transformation catalog of Winx Club, so that's pretty sad. One thing I did like though is how they added in the neck piece and hair piece to Bloom. It looks almost like gills or fish bones. So some attempt was made to like make it more fish-like, but it didn't really work at all. The colors are a travesty. So this is probably F tier for me, honestly. At least the colors were slightly better with this version of Enchantix. Not great, but better in comparison. And for the last one, this was probably my personal favorite transformation from Season 8. I really liked Crystal Sirenix, way better than the previous version of Sirenix we just looked at. I love the train, and then the crowns are super cool, and then there's fur. Obviously, this is like Lovix 2.0, so of course I love it. I also think that the scales were handled a lot better here, and there's also like some variety in the top part of the dresses, which is pretty impressive considering how little they had to work with. Really the only thing I wish they changed is that they used the same Sirenix song when they transformed, and I feel like it would have been nice if they remixed it to sound all crystally, kind of like Lovix, or had a new song or something. Missed opportunity there. But honestly, I can't complain too much about Crystal Sirenix. I'm sure it's not for everyone, but I like it quite a bit. Definitely not as good as some of the others. So I think it's about on the same level as Cosmix for me personally. Whew. And I think we're about done. I could like rearrange these in order, but I think I'd be here all day. And my voice is starting to get tired, if you couldn't already tell. So with that, we are finally done. I have ranked all of the current transformations from Winx Club and World of Winx. This was a lot of fun. I normally script my videos super tediously, like down to the letter, but for this one I just wrote some like general notes on things I liked and stuff, and an intro and outro, and then I just did whatever for recording, so that's new for me. So sorry if I rambled or mixed up my words. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if there's something else you want me to rank from Winx Club. This was a lot of fun, so I definitely would like to do it again, but I'd be interested to know what you want to see. If you'd like to see more videos of mine, then please subscribe so you can join me on the journey to come. Till next time, guys. Bye.